So you're getting ready to put your cozy house on the market and you want to make it look just a little bit bigger. What do? Stay tuned. Hi, I'm Sharon Rosa, and in this week's video, I'm going to be talking about when you have what might be considered a starter home and you are putting it on the market and you want to make the space inside look a little bit bigger. What are some of the things you can do? Now, this goes along with the videos that I posted the last 2 weeks, because if that's the case with the home you're selling, you might be appealing to the millennials. And so the last 2 weeks I talked about kitchen fixes for millennials and bathroom fixes for millennials. So this is what to do with that space just to open it up a little bit. One of the first options is to take a room that is for a specific use, let's say a dining room or a bedroom, and make a focal point in that room. And all you do in order to do that is, if it's in a dining room, you kind of reduce everything else that is around the dining room table, let's say, and maybe take a picture or two off the wall if you have too many in there, or if there's any clutter or you have things on your buffet, maybe you just eliminate all that. And that draws the attention to the table and tends to open up the rest of the space, just because you're not really looking at it, you're looking at that table. You can do the same in a bedroom. You use the bed as the focal point that everyone looks at, and you reduce everything else that is around it. Which takes me to the next point, which is reducing clutter. Once again, that is something that is so very important in when you're showing your house, because I can't stress enough the number of times that I've gone through homes with buyers and the house is really pretty great, but there's just clutter everywhere, and it's so hard for the potential buyers to picture themselves there, and it makes everything look smaller. So that is another thing you can do, reduce that clutter. How do you do that? A few different ways. I've talked about floating shelves in a couple of past videos. You can do that in almost any room. Just make sure that if you put floating shelves in, you don't put too much on those floating shelves. If you are going to have them there, use baskets that are nice and neat and clean looking, and don't have stuff spilling over the top of those baskets. And that way, instead of looking at an open shelf that has all the stuff on it, it might just show 2 or 3 baskets. And that looks much cleaner, much better. Another thing that can go along with that is having furniture that actually has storage in it, maybe under the bed kind of storage, or ottoman storage, where you have your ottoman in your living room and you can throw toys or blankets or whatever would be lying around that room into that ottoman, and that reduces that clutter. So yes, furniture is another way that you can open up space in an area. Obviously, as I just said, you can use it for storage, whether it's an ottoman in a living room or it's something in the entryway that allows you to store shoes in it or whatever. But furniture can be used in that way. Additionally, when you're arranging your furniture, you want to make sure that you are not putting a big piece right in a pathway or hallway or entryway, because what that does is cut off that space and it makes it look smaller. When you're picking furniture, or if you already have your furniture but are going to paint before you put your house on the market, try to pick something that flows well with your furniture. That way, if you have something against a wall, if they are similar in color, it kind of blends those lines and can open up that space as well. You also want to make sure that you steer away from bulky furniture. Know your space, have a good sense, and there are a lot of online tools that can help you figure out what size your furniture pieces should be in your particular room. So make sure you steer clear of furniture that is too big and bulky. And you also might want to watch the upholstery that's on it. You want light, airy upholstery, not something that makes the furniture look heavy and bigger, because then of course that makes the room look smaller. There are some acrylic or clear pieces of furniture that, if you have a modern look, are really kind of cool. And in addition to that, you can use furniture that has reflective surfaces like mirrors. So those are our ideas for the furniture that's going to be in your space. Mirrors can also translate to the walls, so keep that in mind when you're arranging your space. And finally, a big thing is paint. Now, there are two schools of thought with paint. Most people have heard that if you want to make a room look brighter, you want light colors. That's true, but in some cases, if you use a very dark color, it can also make that room look bigger because you lose where the corners are and how deep that space is, especially if it's in a windowless room. As you know, when you're selling your house, neutral colors are better. You can do an accent wall, and sometimes that helps with opening up space as well. Another option with paint colors is you can paint the trim the same color as the wall paint. And what that does is it elongates or lengthens that space, because then the trim, it appears that the wall is going all the way up or going higher than it is. Some people even recommend painting a little bit into the ceiling so that the height looks higher in a space. So that is something else to consider. Also, one of the things that you can do is any paint that you're using, if it has a sheen, that tends to make the light bounce off the walls, which can open up the space. Also, don't forget that if you do have windows in a space, limit what you're putting on that. Do not put heavy drapes. You want things that are light and airy, drapes that light can come through, maybe even sheers, or if you can, don't put anything on them at all. Just make sure you wash those windows before people are coming through your house. So those are just a few ideas that you can consider if you are putting your house on the market and want to open up those rooms a little bit more. I am Sharon Rosa. You can email me at sharonrosa@kw.com. I will be here next Friday with another video. Please make sure to subscribe at the bottom of the page so that you're alerted when my next video drops. Have a wonderful week, and I will see you next Friday.